If you downloaded the Hasty Bake video without animations file from the download section of this lecture, you'll have a PowerPoint presentation that looks something like this. You'll notice two things. One, there are a ton of images on each of the slides. I've done this just for the sake of time, as well as if you select the animation pane, there are no animations. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video, making it look just as it did in the promotional video that we saw in the previous lecture. So the first thing we want to do is just to make sure that everyone knows how to insert pictures, add that background, the green tealish background image to all the slides. We'll do this by clicking View, then Slide Master, then clicking the Master Layout slide. We'll click Insert, Picture, and then we'll select our background image. And you'll see what I've put in here is already sized correctly for the slide. We'll click View, click Normal to go back to our normal view. The first thing that we want to do in our animation is bring this cookie without all of the chocolate chips in from the left. So we'll click Animations after selecting the cookie. We'll then do a fly in and select the direction to come in from the left. The next thing we want is for the chocolate chips to pop up one at a time atop of the cookies. So we'll select them. What I'm doing here is drawing a marquee over all of the images, and then I'm going to hold Shift and left click the image that I don't want in the group. And you can toggle that as well, so you can add it back or you can take it away. And then we'll click Fade. They all come in at once, but we will edit that in the animation pane shortly. The next thing we want to do is the logo to fly in. So let's put it approximately where we want it, which is approximately in the center of the slide. We'll click Fly In, and we'll set it to come in from the left. And the next thing that we're going to do is have these cookies fly in from the background. So they're actually going to be a bit of scattered view as they fly across, but underneath of the logo. And the easiest way to do that is actually to drag them off of the slide, and then add an animation of fly in, and then set the effect direction to from left. And you saw they were going a little fast, they were all grouped together, but we can edit this in the animation pane. So let's do that now that we have all of our animations set. The first one was the cookie coming in from the left. Let's make that one, drag this out a bit. It's best practice to get rid of the on clicks, so let's make that one after previous, and then let's give it a bit of a delay so that it's not instantly starting once the video has fully loaded. The next thing we want to do is make all of these, I'm holding Shift and left clicking to select them all. We're going to make these after previous, and these are the chocolate chips. So let's decrease the duration so they pop up a bit faster, and then let's add a bit of a delay between the cookie coming in and the chocolate chips popping on top. Picture 10 is the logo. You can sort of see by the orange highlight. This is going to come in afterwards as well, and that's definitely going to have a delay. And let's make the duration a little bit longer so it comes in slowly. So one thing that we've done is, as you see by all of these entrance effects, is we've ignored the fact that we need to fade out this cookie. So let's do that. Let's draw a marquee over the images. You can see in the back we've selected all of both the cookie as well as the chocolate chips. Let's add animations and click a fade out. You'll see it's popped up in the animation pane, but we can actually, with them all selected, drag them up and place them where they should be. And that's going to be right above picture 10, which is the logo. So let's make these go after previous as well. Let's increase the duration so they go out a bit slower, and then let's add a bit of a delay. So if we actually increase our delay here to 2.5 seconds, you'll see also that 4 through 8 on the fade out, so those would be the chocolate chips, those aren't actually going with the one beforehand, and we want it to. So let's reset the with previous, which brings all of the animations to occur at the same time. Then we know that our logo will fly in, and the next thing we want to do is make our effect of the cookies flying across the screen, and that's going to be the rest of this slide. So the first thing we should do is after previous, because we definitely want to separate that from the logo itself. And actually, let's select all of these pictures so that we can edit them together. Let's increase the duration so that it takes them a bit longer to get across the slide. And then let's also add a bit of a basic delay so that we can say a bit about the logo before they all start going. Then what we want to do is just scatter them out. So let's add more delays to certain ones. And the way we can expedite this process is actually if you hold down Control, you can select more images at the same time. So let's do these 3, add a bit of a delay. And this is very much indicative of the way that this process sort of works. It's very much trial and error. So we're going to go here and give it a go, see what it looks like. And if it doesn't look good, then what we'll do is we will try again. Or we'll go in and see if we can fix it in the animations. So let's preview what we have for slide 1. First the cookie comes in, then pops the chocolate chips one at a time, pretty good speed. They'll fade out as we say something. Then we'll wait for the Hasty Bake logo to fly in at a pretty good speed, and then the cookies will fly in relatively scattered in the back. And you can see they are going in a bit of a group. It could be done a little bit better, but that's the basic idea. And one thing to note as well, if we were to, depending on the order of which we put our objects in, it could be that this logo was towards the back. And the way that we want to, because we want the cookies to fly behind the logo, we can actually right-click it and then bring it to front. And if you just hover over it, it gives you a few choices. So you can bring it forward, which puts it in front of the next forward object, or you can bring it all the way to the front, which will put it in the front. So let's start on slide 2. You'll see in the video I've actually already added the animations for slide 2. That's because we want to save time, and you've already seen me do many of these effects nearly half a dozen times already. But the one effect I do want you to see is, if we watch it in the previews, this sort of walking effect that's coming in. Let's watch it again. This sort of bobbing back and forth as it comes in. The character comes in. I do want to show you how to do that one. So let's actually take the picture. I'm just copying it with the Control-C. I'll add a new slide, paste them in. I'll remove the animations that are already there. So now we have our cartoon character. It's going to be animations. We're going to throw a fly in from the left, increase the duration so he doesn't come in so fast. That's even a little slow. Let's do 1.25. That's good. And then how we make the bobbing effect is actually an emphasis animation that we haven't played much with yet, and it's called teeter. And the way we do that is a with previous with the same duration, and as we know, best practice after animation. Let's click play, and you'll see he gives a little walking effect as he comes in. It's very much these subtle things that you add to your video that really make it look a little bit more professional than it already will. So let's delete this slide. And as you can see, what's going on here, maybe the only thing you haven't yet seen is these two effects. They disappear and appear. These are just fades, but they happen instantly. So what's actually happening is, if you remember the cat popping up on his shoulder, this image comes in, so he flies in and he has the teeter. Then this image, at the same time as this one appearing, disappearing, this one appears. Let me say that one again. This one, he's going to disappear, this image, and this one's going to appear all at the same time. And that's actually what we're seeing here with picture 8 and picture 5. A disappear and appear at the same time, which gives the effect that the cat is popping in. Let's preview to see it. He walks in, and then there's the pop with the cat on the shoulder. That's the appear and disappear happening at the same time. And then another pop where it's another image with the same cat with a sort of concerned look on his face, or questioned look on his face. So yeah, that's it. That's basically all it is, a motion path, and then the question marks pop in and out one at a time, which is all things you've seen before. So let's move on to slide 3, which is actually in the same boat. It's going to be a fly in with the head from the bottom in the beginning, and then each of these graphics up here are going to appear one at a time before they all disappear together and the head flies out. Here's the preview. So hopefully by now, after watching all of the lectures, you have an idea of how to do this. It's an appear and appear and appear and appear. As a group, they fade out, and then he flies out. Slide 4 is actually we're going to dive a little bit deeper into, because I do have some things I want to show you here. So let's move some stuff out of the way. It's pretty heavily layered. A white box, and then I have a computer. And I want to give you an idea of the graphics that we're using. So we have this text box, which is actually created in PowerPoint. And then we have this computer image, and that's all one by itself. So the effect is, first, we want this computer to fly in from the left. So let's fly in, bring it in from the left, best practice after previous, bit of a delay, and let's make it go a little bit slower. The next thing we want, and remember the effect we're going for, is the typing into a search bar. So we're going to put the text over top, and the effect that we make it look as if it's typing is actually just going to be a wipe, but you can see we need to change the direction of the wipe, which is from left. And let's make it a little slower since no one really types that fast. So in comes the computer, and then a slow typing effect afterwards. Little quick on it, let's make it after previous, and let's throw in a bit of a delay, so we can speak a little bit about the computer itself. The next thing that we want to do is bring in this white box, and this is actually just a square that I drew in PowerPoint. And essentially what this is going to do is give the effect that the computer, that the search bar is fading out without us having to create a new graphic. So let's make this one fade in, add animation with a fade in. We'll make it after previous with the timing, bit of a delay, and the duration's probably all right. But the thing that we want to do as a best practice, of course, is sometimes when everything fades out, which we know it's going to, you get a bit of a glimmer of everything that's layered. And I'll show you how this looks, what I mean. So I put in a fade of all these. Now watch in the middle where the text is. So in comes the computer, in comes the text, then the white box will go, and then as it fades, you get a bit of a glimmer of the text. Hopefully you saw that. We want to remove that, and the way we do it is we actually just get rid of this image itself by using a disappear or a fade out after this box has come in. So keeping our layers and the images that we have underneath of our layers as lean as possible. So let's do an add animation with an exit of disappear. And we actually want this to go after the white box has faded in, because we don't want anyone to see that we're actually getting rid of it. So let's preview. You're actually not going to see anything different than what you've seen before. In comes the text, fades into white, and it disappears without anyone even noticing, which is good. The next thing we want is the Hasty Bake logo to pop up to indicate that we're on the Hasty Bake website. That's just going to be a basic fade with an after previous and a bit of a delay. Piece of cake. We won't preview it because we'll be doing that a bit later. Let's move these cookies in. The effect we were going for was each of these will fly in. We're going with a pattern here, so the outer two fly in from the bottom and the middle one flies in from the top. So let's just hold shift down and left click to select them all. We'll then add animations, fly in. Let's make the top one after to set the rest to go back. You'll notice that these are no longer aligned. So if we click picture 6, hold shift and click picture 7, we can reset the with previous, which puts them together. Then we need to make sure that we have the direction correct. You'll notice by default they fly in from the bottom. Let's make this middle one fly in from the top. And the next thing that we do is, after a bit of a wait, we're going to make these images fly out in the opposite direction. So let's hold shift, click them all again, animations with a fly out. After previous, let's put in a delay, and let's reset the with previous. One thing what you can do is, if we go right back, I'll show you, is instead of doing the reset with previous, which sometimes gets a bit complicated or you forget, is instead of doing the one after previous and then resetting, if you just hold shift, select them all, you can delay them all at the same time. That's typically what I do. So let's do a 1.5 second delay, and then we need to make sure that our directions are correct. So by default, they're all flying out towards the bottom, but we actually want the outer two to fly out towards the top. So let's select this effect. Let's make it to the top, and then picture 5, which is the far left, we make that one go to the top as well. Let's have a preview of what we have so far. In comes the computer, in comes the text, fades out the text, there goes the text as well, it's disappeared. Logo, in comes the cookies rather, and out goes the cookies. The one thing that we didn't do was actually fade out these computers, this computer and all of the stuff before the cookies came in. So let's do that. It will look a little bit better. If we draw a marquee over top of the computer, we'll grab the computer, the logo, the fade out square, the text in the back, and we've also grabbed this cookie that we don't want to. So let's hold shift, left click the cookie. This is how you can toggle stuff in and out of a group. So I'm holding shift while I do all of this. Let's only select the ones we want. Let's click an add animation and a fade out. And what we need to do is now drag this animation up to where it should be. And that's actually going to be right before picture 5, which is the cookies. 5, 6, and 7 are all the cookies. Then we need to set it, of course, after previous. And we'll do a delay as well. So I clicked picture 1, held shift, clicked picture 4 to get all of them in between. And I'm going to add a 2-second delay. So let's preview and see if it works the way we want. Computer, typing effects. Here comes the fade. The text has now disappeared. The logo has popped up. Out goes the computer. In comes the cookies, not computers, be clear. And out they go. The last slide that we'll talk about is the call to action that we end something with. You'll notice in your file, if you're going along, that you don't have this shadow underneath of it. This is actually something I wanted to show you. It's a feature of PowerPoint itself. So if we click the image we want, if it's not selected, you'll see no tab. If you click the image, a new tab pops up called Format, where in the picture effects, you can choose whether or not you want to add a shadow. So there's probably how yours looked. I decided that this it didn't pop enough. It was a little bit difficult to read, so I added a small shadow, and you'll see there are a lot of presets. So let's say we want it to be towards the bottom left. and the animation is already done, which is a quick fly in from the bottom. However, as we've talked about before, if we were to save this as a video now, the instant that this object met the middle of the screen and this animation was done, that would be the end of the video. That's not something that we want. So the first thing let's do is let's add a fade out to make the video look a little bit more professional. What I did right there was I right-clicked, went to Format Shape, then I can select the solid fill of black, and you don't have to turn off the line, but I always do. Perfectionist. And what we need to then do is add an animation of fade. And let's make it a little bit longer fade, as well as after the previous animation with a 1.5 second or 2 second delay. So in comes the call to action. We say something, there goes the fade. You might want some more time, but you get the idea. The last thing that we want to make sure is, again, we face the issue of the minute that this fades in, the instant that this fades in, the video will end. That's something that we always want to be aware of. So what we do is the trick I explained earlier. Let's draw a shape and let's make an animation happen from off of the slide so that no one can see it. A motion path works like a charm. We'll make it to the right. And let's decrease it. It doesn't need to be that long after previous, and set our delay. So how long of a black screen do we want before the video is finished? Let's do 4 seconds, and that is particularly useful if you're going to overlay maybe a real video of you speaking. And there you have it. That's actually the full animations. Everything is done. If we go to File, we click Save As, we select the location, we select Windows Media Video from the drop-down, we'll click Save, and you'll see down here it's already exporting. Once it's done, you have animations in your video. In case it ever comes in handy, the fully animated video is attached in the download section of this lecture. But you're probably wondering why I didn't include any sound effects or narration in the video we just exported. Even though PowerPoint supports these features, I prefer to use PowerPoint for the animations, after which I take care of the audio, background music, sound effects, and narration in a more advanced video editing software. That way, I can more easily mix volumes, adjust timings, and the like. In the next video, I'll show you.